So, probably the final part of my end of 2022 UFC Champions predictions, and let's get right into the men's bantamweight division. My top three most likely champions come the end of 2022. Third, I have Aljamain Sterling. Second, I have the former champion TJ Dillashaw, and the most likely, like I think a lot of people will predict as well, the current interim champion Petr Yan. Petr Yan he's so good. He's incredible. Even his last fight in the interim title, I think Corey fought an amazing fight. Corey fought so good, and he got obliterated by Petr Yan. It didn't even phase Yan. It was just straight destruction. Same thing against Jose Aldo when he won the title. Same thing against Aljamain Sterling until his corner forgot the rules and he got disqualified. But it's going to be really tough for anyone to beat him or even trouble him, honestly. But someone who I think potentially could is TJ Dillashaw. TJ, I think the biggest things that's going to be different is against the Corey fight. You could see that the main problem was that Corey didn't have the power to trouble Yan. So at one point, at like the first round, Petr Yan usually takes off and kind of just gets his reads, but there came a point where Yan's just like, oh, I can just walk pretty much straight through you. And I think that's the difference with TJ's. TJ's got the footwork and the kind of unpredictable nature of that Corey Sandhagen showed Petr Yan, but he has knockout power as well. So I think that's the one that's going to be interesting to see, and yeah, I really hope we get to see that fight sometime. So that's why I have him second, because I think at the end of the day, I think Aljamain Sterling will lose and Yan will win, and it's kind of who can trouble Petr Yan. I have Aljo third most likely because at the end of the day, he had a terrible night and got obliterated by Yan. But his other performances, he was very rightfully a top contender. I mean, that fight, I'm pretty sure it was like a pick'em odds or something. Like, it wasn't that. It was really surprising how one-sided it was, because Aljo is still a top-tier fighter, and I think people 100% will forget that and just look at his last performance and go, hey, shit. But yeah, so I think if he shows up on his best night, I feel like that fight could go different. Will it go different? I don't think so, but like I don't see Jose Aldo, Rob Font, I don't see any of them beating Petr Yan, well, for the second time for Aldo, basically. But yeah, that's men's bantamweight. Women's bantamweight division, however, this one, like other ones, I have all the contenders, then I have Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. I think this one, I don't have a third most likely because of those two. I think second most likely I have Juliana Pena, and most likely who I think will be champion is Amanda Nunes. I don't think that's too crazy to think, because at the end of the day, Pena very rightfully won and brought a war to Amanda Nunes that Nunes was not prepared for. Whether that be she wasn't training properly or she just wasn't mentally prepared to pretty much die in there like Pena looked like she was. Regardless of that, I still think Nunes is a better fighter, which is why I think in the rematch Amanda Nunes will win. But you can't overlook Juliana Pena. It wasn't a fluke she won. She won, for fuck's sake. She beat Amanda, and that's why it's going to be very interesting. But with that kind of fire, I don't see anyone else beating Pena. And regardless, I don't think I can see anyone beating Nunes. So I think that one's kind of not very bold. Not very bold. Men's flyweight division, however, this one's a bit bolder. Because, I mean, regardless, everyone in the men's flyweight division is overlooked. People didn't know who Kai Kara France was about a month ago. Now everyone does. But I have third most likely, Davison Figueiredo. Second most likely, the current champion Brandon Moreno, and who I think will be champion is someone even in the flyweight division is overlooked. Askarov. I think people don't realise that first of all, he's undefeated and he's a dominant fighter, and no one's mentioning his name at all because he's that dominant, because he's that good. I feel like he's so good. His performances are just suffocating. He performs really well. His stand-up's even good. His ground game's just the best in the division easily. And yeah, I just feel like at the end of the day, he should be fighting for the title next. He's probably going to get overlooked and have to have a fight, and then people go, oh, he's boring, whatever. But he's incredible. He's a fantastic fighter. I think 100% he can beat anyone in that division, and I think he will beat anyone in the division. That's why I see him being the flyweight champion. Second most likely, second and third, I think, kind of speak for themselves. Brandon Moreno, obviously, is the current champ. He's so good. And Figgy is... I don't even know if they call him Figgy. I just call him Figgy. Figueiredo is obviously amazing. Like, when I think of Figueiredo, I think back to his performance when he won the title against Joe Benavidez, where that was merciless. That was brutal. It almost looked like he killed a man in there. Like, goddamn, Figueiredo is a bad man. But at the end of the day, I think Brandon Moreno has an answer for him. You could see that in that second fight especially. Figgy never got off, and I think that's what's going to happen in the rematch. I'm excited to see, but Figueiredo against other opponents dominates them. I think he does incredibly well on the feet. However, on the ground, where he's getting suffocated basically by Askarov, I think that's where the problems are at. So that's why I don't know if that's a bold prediction. It's kind of just, it's an unpopular one, but it's not a bold one. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Now, speaking of not bold decisions, women's flyweight. Third most likely, I have no one. Second most likely, I have no one. Because, undoubtedly, and I'm willing to bet a lot of money on I'm not going to, because I would win 1 cent back. Valentina Shevchenko, I think, will be the women's flyweight champion come the end of the year. Self-explanatory. Self-explanatory, I don't need to go over that one. And final one, we have the 12th and final division. We have the strawweight division, and this one's actually a really good one. I think the strawweight division is, looking at it now, there's a lot of good contenders there, and it's looking very good. So, my third most likely, we have, I think, the number one contender, or, well, who's fighting for the title next, Carla Esparza. Second most likely, third most likely, Carla Esparza. Second most likely, I have Marina Rodriguez, and who I think will be the champion is the current champion, Rose Nunes. I think Rose is just, I nearly said he. She is just incredible. I think she's just on another level. Fantastic fighter, absolutely fantastic. Marina Rodriguez, I think, potentially has the tools to trouble her, because, I mean, Marina's bigger, she's a lot bigger, and she's got a lot more power. At the end of the day, like, oh my god, I forgot her name, Jessica Andrade gave Rose problems, especially in the second fight, through power. It wasn't like she was outboxing her or out-technique her, being more technical, being smarter, whatever. It wasn't that. It was just straight power that's going to hurt her. And I think Marina Rodriguez has straight power to hurt her, as well as she's a lot smarter fighter. She can use her range, she can use her length, and I feel like that would pose Rose a lot of questions. I still think Rose would be on top, but there's problems there. Carla Esparza is an interesting one, because I think she's much like Derek Brunson for me. is that every single fight she comes up into, I think she's losing. Same thing with Brunson. Every fight I go, he's losing. And then somehow, I still don't even understand how they win. They win every single fight. Whether that's me just being really dumb, or them being, like, I don't even know, mythical beings. I always doubt them. I always think there's no chance they win, and they always win. And that's why I don't have Carla as the number one. That's why I even have her on this list, because I could list off in my head, like, probably at least 5 people in that division who I think would beat Carla Esparza, but she'd probably beat all of them. It's confusing. And the final thing I wanted to touch on for that division is probably my personal favourite in that division, Weili, Zhang Weili. I really want her to be champion, but the thing is, I don't think Rose will lose the title, which is why I can't say it's likely that Weili will be champion, because at the end of the day, Weili's 0-2 against Rose. Even if she won... Actually, no, if she won 2 fights in the year, then maybe, yes, she'd fight for the title again, but I just don't see Weili beating Rose. I mean, you've seen 2 fights where Rose has won, and as much as I want Weili to be champion, I just can't see it happening because I think Rose is just too good. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all my predictions. I wonder if I'll get one correct. Chances are I won't. But I cannot wait for 2022, for the UFC, for sports in general, even my life. I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be very exciting, and there's a lot of, in my head, a lot of what if scenarios. Could do this, might do this, yada yada. At the end of the day, we get to find out next year and the years after, and I'm very excited. So yeah,